Discourse of minority political parties in Kosovo. Dear conference organizers, dear keynote speakers, dear conference participants, dear colleagues, I am very pleased to have the opportunity to present my paper, which I hope will attract your attention and which I hope to initiate a debate in the field I have written and I work practically. I am Xhevahire Izmaku, a lecturer at the AEB College Prishtina in Kosovo. Today, I will try to point out some of the main points of my paper, whereas I hope it will be accepted to be published, so you will have the entire paper, which I also hope will be read, commented, reviewed and critiqued by you. All of that will be highly appreciated. My paper is titled Discourse of Minority Political Parties in Kosovo, which itself shows that paper deals with the minorities living in Kosovo and their discourse and their attitudes regarding Kosovo, Kosovo statehood and Kosovo state building. For the needs of the paper, the combined methodology was followed by the method of legal, historical, systematic and theological analysis. For the needs of the paper, a literature review covers the work of known authors from the international arena that deal with Kosovo and with the process of dissolution of former Yugoslavia and the works of domestic authors. In addition, the legal infrastructure, international and local, was reviewed. In the introduction part, paper gives a general overview and the description of minorities that currently live in Kosovo, and giving some legal definition of the minorities, among what the following is the most important. And this definition is national, ethnic, cultural, linguistic or religious groups traditionally present in Kosovo and that do not belong to the majority. These groups are Serb community, Turkish community, Bosnian community, Roma, Egyptian and Ashkali community, Goran community and other communities. This definition is taken from the law on protection and promoting the rights of communities and their members in Kosovo. The mentioned law derives from a series of documents, international and local documents, including Kosovo Constitution. As you know, Kosovo has proclaimed its declaration of independence in February 17, 2008, which indeed is a continuation of a process developed and implemented by local and international factors. Right after this declaration, Kosovo Parliament adopted Kosovo Constitution, which is in a form prescription of the comprehensive proposal for final status of Kosovo, prepared by former Finnish President Matti Ahtisaari, who led the process of negotiation between Kosovo and Serbia for quite a long period of time, and as the conclusion, he brought the proposal which was completely approved by Kosovo Parliament. This document served as the legal basis for establishing the state of Kosovo and Kosovo institution. It imposed very many obligations to the state of Kosovo and its institution. Regarding the minorities is brought in obligations which had to continually be implemented and at the same time they had to be internationally monitored. Kosovo Constitution, based on this document, creates the state of Kosovo as a state of citizens and the state of communities and not as the state of Albanians, who represent 19% on the entire Kosovo population. Universal Declaration of Human Rights, European Convention for the Protection of Human Rights and Fundamental Freedoms and its protocols, International Convention on Civil and Political Rights and its protocols, Council of Europe Framework, Convention for the Protection of National Minorities, Convention on the Elimination of all forms of racial discrimination, Convention of the Elimination of all forms of discrimination against a woman, Convention of the Rights of the Children, Convention against torture and other cruel, inhuman or degrading treatment or punishment. In addition to this, there is a group of other laws which regulate the life of communities in Kosovo and which guarantee their protected and reserved rights. Among these laws, in the paper there are mentioned and analyzed as follows: law on protection and promoting the rights of communities and their members in Kosovo, law on use of languages, law against the discrimination, etc. The position of minorities is analyzed and discussed in the paper, always stressing out the discourse minorities have regarding Kosovo and their position within it and its institution. Bigger attention is given to their political representation at all levels of government and their participation in the governance. For the minorities in Kosovo parliament, for example, are reserved 20 seats, 20 for Serb minority and 10 seats for other minorities in Kosovo. Within the paper, you will see how these seats are reserved and how they function under the current political system. Further, it explains how they are represented in the Kosovo government and based on which formula. And further, an analysis is given for all types of governments and all forms of participation of minorities and their political parties, along with their discourse on Kosovo, Kosovo state and Kosovo future. There are also presented and analyzed special mechanisms created based on legal acts, which practically implement and guarantee equality and protection of minority rights. Each minority is presented specifically in specific parts of the paper with all characteristics, and the findings show that all minorities and their political parties and mechanism are pleased with their position in Kosovo, and they are very supportive of state-building processes in Kosovo. Exception is Serb community, which according to all analyses, written and expressed attitudes are hesitant and supporting their own state of Kosovo. It is vivid that the official Serbian politics and their pressure in the life of Serbs in Kosovo have a big impact in their discourse. On the other side, Serb minority enjoys additional specific rights, which indeed are not enjoyed by the other minorities. The Serb minority discourse and attitudes make Kosovo future more difficult and create lots of crises. Thus, since 2011, a dialogue between Kosovo and Serbia has been developed, and this dialogue has been facilitated by the EU. Results were not as expected. Reasons for this are mentioned and described in the paper as well. In the conclusions, there are given findings and conclusions regarding the goal and the objectives of this paper. They are considered to be as the further contribution to the academic and practical discussion in Kosovo and abroad, since international actors have a big importance in Kosovo and developments in Kosovo, and to the very high extent they are crucial. The biggest problem of Kosovo under the current circumstances is the Serb minority discourse and the position of Serbia's official policy regarding the Serbs in Kosovo. This is also a big challenge for Kosovo and its institution on how to avoid impact of Serbia in Kosovo over the Serb minority and how to manage a much stronger integration of Serbs in Kosovo society and Kosovo institution. This indeed, in many aspects, determines the future of Kosovo. Thank you for your attention.